Hello, good evening, and welcome to Palestine On A Plate. I'm Chris Rose, the director of Amos Trust, and it's great to be with you this evening. One of the highlights of my summer is the cooking we do together at Greenbelt that I do with Phoebe Rison. I'm going to introduce you to a second, and tonight we've got a special guest as well. We got Phoebe's mum, Tata or Nadia. Phoebe and Nadia, you want to introduce yourselves?
Hi, Chris. Thank you. Yes, my name's Phoebe Rison, and I've worked with Chris on various advocacy projects. And me and my mum run a small blog doing Palestinian cuisine. Mama, do you want to say hello?
Yeah, hello, my name is Nadia Rankistos. I am Phoebe's mom.
Now, in the flesh, one of the things which stands out about it is obviously I haven't got long flowing hair. I'm 6'6" and have no hair at all. Phoebe, would you say you're a bit smaller than that? Would that be a fair description?
Yes, a little bit. I think a lot of the comedy when we cook together is the fact that I need a stool and you need to come out of the rafters a little bit.
Absolutely. So that's missing on this, but you do look tall compared to your mother.
Yes, and actually, because of the perspective, I don't look as tall as I usually am next to her. When I come closer, you can see I'm a good head
Oh,
taller than her. So,
yeah.
so I'm not short
Yeah.
today, which is great.
Well, there we go. And I'm obviously, my height is hidden here today as well. But anyway, well, enough of that. We will not be doing Big Cook, Little Cook. Everybody must be pleased to know before we get banned from the airwaves. Phoebe, what are we cooking tonight?
Okay, so tonight we're going to be doing summer kofta, which is a lovely variation of the normal beef or lamb koftas you guys might have had. We're going to make it with chicken. Any pescatarians can also make it with fish. The exact same ingredients, just cod instead of the chicken. We're going to make a loaded labna, which is basically beautiful roasted kind of Palestinian traditional vegetables, all served on top of the labna, the yogurt that we've all hung this morning. We're doing a salata, which my mum's going to be working on, and we're also going to be doing a really nice kind of spicy sauce, which we call Shatta Sauce. Okay.
Excellent. Phoebe,
Right.
you said you've been hanging yogurt since this morning. If anybody doesn't, some people will be thinking, what on earth are you talking about?
Yeah, so labna is basically a strained yogurt. It's a type of cheese that we eat all the time in Palestine. It's often eaten at breakfast. To make it at home, all you do is you get a good quality yogurt, you mix in a bit of salt, and then you hang it up in a cheesecloth or this is a baby muslin, because I feel they take the weight a little bit better than a cheesecloth. You let all the whey and all the liquid pour out of it, and then you're left with this really nice, thick, creamy cheese, essentially. And we're gonna normally you would have a labna overnight. You'd hang it overnight or for a 24-hour period. We're having it more of a dip consistency, and so I asked everyone taking part in this just to do it this morning. So we're gonna have a nice, creamy, kind of dippable, scoopable labna today.
Excellent. I'm aware that some people will not be cooking along, others will be. If you're not cooking along, join me. I'm not allowed to cook along this evening. So I prepared a whole load of food earlier, which I will be showing you later on. I'm a vegetarian, and one of the great joys of Palestinian food is that there's so many vegetarian and vegan dishes you can cook, and you can adapt to be cooked as well. So Phoebe, just talk us through what you're doing there with the aubergine.
Okay, so basically, I'm just cutting the aubergines. I'm yeah, the oven's on. Thanks. Sorry. So I'm just cutting the aubergines up.
And don't forget the salt.
Okay, I won't forget the salt. Okay, so I'm cutting the aubergines up, and this is going to be an ongoing thing. By the way, my mum correcting everything that I do.
Yep,
Normally, when I'm on stage with you, Chris, it's me telling you that you're doing everything wrong.
absolutely.
And today, the shoe will be on the other foot, so to speak. So
Which
I'm just cutting everything ready for the oven.
Mama nagging.
Yes, Mama is nagging, but that's fine. Okay, so I've got my aubergines on the plate there. These are just the regular ones you buy. These are littler ones that we have in Palestine. I just buy them from the local grocer. I've got my kusa. This is courgette. I'm just going to cut that up as well. If you've just got a regular, I don't know, like these dark green big courgettes, just cut it up however you like it. I use little fingers like that. I think that looks prettier on the plate and it's kind of easier to share out. And I'm just going to keep going with all the vegetables to go on top of the labna. So, right, my kusa is now done. Then I'm just going to put the cauliflower florets on, the zahra. Right. And so basically, for everyone cooking along, and for those who are going to cook along when they watch this back again, that's basically all you have to do with the veg. It's super, super simple. So traditionally, I've got to say, to be fair, this dish is deep fried. All the vegetables are deep fried. A lot of my friends ask me how I get my kids to eat all their vegetables, and the answer is Tia deep fries them all.
Was that
But with
oil
this,
you're throwing on that, by the way, or was that water? Phoebe?
sorry.
Was that
Oh,
oil
this
you?
is just, yes, this is just oil. This is just oil to
Yeah.
give them a nice,
Yeah.
yeah, so they're not deep fried, but they're still sort of drenched in oil.
Yeah.
And this is just going to make them roast really beautifully in the oven. In the preparation for the cook along, we told everyone to preheat their ovens to 180 or 190, depending if you've got a fan oven or not. And yeah, so I'm just coating everything with the oil, getting it all nice and covered. And then I'm going to just sprinkle some salt on because Mama told me not to forget. And then these are going to go straight into the oven. So yeah, these are often deep fried, but because we're frying the kofta today, we thought we'd make the side not fried. It's just a good way to balance the meal out. It's just as delicious. Okay, so I'm just going to put this in the oven.
Excellent. No, oh no, Nadia can't hear me without.
Yeah, she can. I mean, I can hear you, so I can relay
Okay.
anything.
So Nadia, tell us a little bit about where you come from and your background, Nadia.
Mama.
The hub, the other thing.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot. Chris wants you to tell everyone a little bit about where you come from and your background.
I want me to tell him now.
Yeah?
Yeah. Okay. As I said before, my name is Nadia Rankistor. I am born and raised in Jerusalem, Palestine.
I think it's a little bit hard to hear your mum. I think she may need your microphone to be near her while it's talking. Yep.
For about 8 years.
Yep.
And then after that, when I finished my A-level, I went to Sweden to study, and I did take nursing school, as you saw the picture. And then
Yeah.
I studied social culture anthropology at the university. And years later, I went down to Palestine back to work in development with mental retarded children, all disabled children.
Okay. And that's where I was born when you went back to Palestine.
Yes. And when I was in Palestine, I met my husband. He's an Englishman, Jordi, from the north. And I have the children. And Phoebe was born in Jerusalem.
And are you still able to live in Jerusalem if you want to, Nadia?
He's asking if you're still allowed to live in Jerusalem.
No, I can go only as a tourist.
Okay, why is that?
Israeli, they will not give me a stay permit for a longer time, only as a tourist, 3 months maybe.
So, Mama, do you want to explain what happened when you stopped being able to live there in 1967?
Okay. When I went to Sweden, and while I was in Sweden, the war broke out. And when the war broke out, from 1948, they divided Palestine in two, and one part went immediately under the Jordanese government. And so they gave us a Jordanese citizenship. And so when I went to Sweden and the war broke out, I asked the Israeli ambassador if I could go back to visit my family because they were in Palestine. My mother was in Jerusalem, and my sister and my brother, and they said no, I couldn't go back because I am Jordanese citizen, so I have to go to Jordan. And I tried to explain for them that it was impossible because they gave us Jordanese citizenship, but I wasn't Jordanese. I couldn't go to Amman. I have nobody in Amman. My mother lived in Jerusalem, in East Jerusalem. And then after a lot of talk, I'm trying to go to the Israeli embassy, and so it was the best solution for me to go to see my mother and to visit my country as a tourist and to take Swedish citizenship. So I became Swedish citizenship, and as Swedish citizenship, I could go to Jerusalem and visit, but I am not allowed to stay there. I live for a long time because I am treated as only as a tourist.
So can I just ask, what's your passport now? What citizenship have you got now, Nadia? Are you British citizen now, or are you still got a
No,
Jordanian?
not yet. What citizenships do you have
I am
now?
Swedish citizenship.
Oh,
I
okay.
was married to a British subject, Geordie, but I never took the British citizenship. Unfortunately now, with the Brexit, I must start to think of the British citizenship. And I
Okay.
hope that they will give to me. I have been living in England since 1979 when I got married that year. But then I didn't live all the years in England because I was working in development. So me and my husband, we traveled. We were working in Algeria, in the West Bank, and then in Yemen we were. And for a short time, like 10 weeks only in Egypt.
Just to explain to people who are not familiar with the situation, between 1948, after the War of Independence in Nakba, Palestine became divided with the State of Israel formed, and then the West Bank and Jerusalem came under Jordanian control. So between 1948 and 1967, people living there were given Jordanian passports and in Jerusalem. And then from 1967, when Israel invaded the West Bank and Jerusalem and took it over in the Six-Day War, it annexed Jerusalem. And that meant people in Jerusalem still today have a separate residency issues from other people, and the Jordanians still have a say over aspects of Jerusalem. Phoebe, I know you've done quite a lot of, Phoebe, what are you up to now, just before we start talking more? What are you working on?
So what I was doing there while my mum was telling her story is I was making what's effectively like a dry sauce or a dry topping that's going to go on top of the things that are going to go on top of the labaneh. Okay, so we're going to have the labaneh on the bottom, then we're going to have all the roasted vegetables, and then we're going to have our dry toppings. And so what I've done here is the garlic and the parsley, and now I'm chopping up the walnuts as well. So they're all going to go in one bowl together, and they basically make really delicious. For lunch, Mum often just fries up some aubergines and puts this 3 kind of mix on it. So that's what I'm doing now. Oh, and I'm also, I don't know if we can get the hob cam up, but the aubergine is sizzling away at the moment on the, I don't know if that banner can go so people can see, but it's on an open flame, just on your hob. I don't know if anyone who's cooking along or anyone who's going to be cooking along at another time doesn't have a gas hob. If they can let us know, and I can give you the instructions of what to do if you don't have a gas hob.
Okay, and so, and how long will that be on there for, Phoebe?
About 20 minutes. So it'll be on there for about as long as the stuff that's in the oven roasting away. And you basically want the skin completely burnt, you want the juices pouring out, and you want it to slightly collapse in shape. I'll turn it about every 6 or so minutes. Just keep it moving.
And basically, so for those who are not familiar with it, having juice all over your hob is absolutely normal.
Yes, it's absolutely fine. Someone asked me on like one of my Facebook pages how to avoid that. And I said, I mean, you could put some foil down if you wanted to, but I think you just get the elbow grease out after you've been cooking, to be honest.
Yep.
We're not too worried about clean hobs in this house. Okay, so if I can just show it to the camera, that's now the garlic, the parsley, and the walnuts all chopped up together, and that's going to go over our labaneh. Really, really, really delicious.
And is there some chili in there as well, or
sorry?
Is there chili in there as well? Is that right or not?
No chili in there. No.
Yep.
And this is my beautiful Salata Arabia.
Okay. So, Mama, what's in the Salata Arabia? Okay.
Yep. So the ingredients for that?
Tell people what you put inside.
What I put it is tomato, and 1 small cucumber, half onion, and some leaves of mint. I put oil and lemon and salt.
Yeah, so on the ingredients list, I said use dry mint because that's how I like it and make it. Mum insisted on using fresh mint in her salad today. It doesn't matter. Put in whatever you've got. Dry mint is much punchier. It's got a much more fragrant, which is why I like it, but it's really lovely and fresh with the fresh mint anyway. So whatever you've got, put it in, even though we haven't followed our own instructions today.
Okay, and the copious quantities of olive oil poured over the top?
Yes, Mama. What did you put on top of it? Hatteti zait?
I put lemon and olive oil and salt.
Okay, and tell me a little bit about olive oil in Palestine, and kind of, it's not just an ingredient, is it? There's a lot more to it than that.
No, so the olive tree is hugely significant in Palestine. Most families have a couple of olive groves that belong to them in their ancestral lands. It's used in our cooking. Yes, we pickle the olives. We make oil out of them. We use the inside to make fuel. We make soap. We cut and trim the trees and then carve it to make beautiful wooden implements for the house, decorative things. Yeah, figurines, like nativities. In Bethlehem, there's a big Christian community there, and a lot of them are into wood carving. And there's also a real symbolic thing about it, a sense of samud, this sense of being linked to the land. A lot of people think that it's the main income generator in Palestine. Agriculturally, it's not actually, but it's the most personal one. It's the most significant one because everyone will just have a little bit for themselves. Lots of families will harvest their olives and then take it to the co-op to get it pressed. And then even people from abroad, they'll come back to Palestine once a year and they'll take their gallons of olive oil home with them. That's the kind of culture. It means a lot. It means an awful lot. And especially now when so many of the olive trees are being destroyed under the occupation by settlers or by specific military orders. So it's something that we're quite passionate about, I think, aren't we? We're quite passionate about olives and olive trees and olive oil.
And is it the best olive oil in the world?
Palestinian table at breakfast, at lunch, and at supper. Yeah, it is very important.
It is the best olive oil in the world. And I'm not just saying that because I'm Palestinian. I'm saying it. So as an expert who's worked in olive oil for about 10 years now, we've got a very short olive picking season because of the altitude and because of the fact we're rain-fed and where we are kind of geographically in the world. And that short olive season means that we have really good acidity. And acidity is what gives you your quality olive oil. And so 100%, we absolutely have the best olive oil. Right, Mama? Do we have the best olive oil?
My father used to have a lot of olive trees, and we used to do some oil yearly. And we harvest that September, October.
Yeah.
I obviously go to Palestine a lot, and I used to bring back a whole load of different things. And now all we bring back is olive oil.
Yes.
A few bits of glass from Hebron as well, but basically olive oil and a whole load. And I've got a particular favorite here, which is a tin from Tybee. Tybee, I'm going to ask you, Phoebe, and your mother, Nadia, to say a little bit about Tybee. This is from a brewery in Tybee. It's the best brewery in the world because it's organic beer. Their pale ale is really very good. And that's to come out. You can't get it in many places. Really good brewery, but they also sell olive oil. It's like the best sort of place to go into. So I couldn't recommend it enough. If you're on a bike particularly, then you get this wonderful descent down into the Jordan Valley as well. So if you're on a cycling trip, and surprisingly, we do cycling trips among other things, as well as cooking trips. We go to Tybee to visit the brewery, but also they do fantastic olive oil. In the UK, the olive oil we'd recommend, and we do our cooking trips with Zaytoon, is Zaytoon, a wonderful fair trade organisation. And you can find out lots more online about them and get them online as well. But that's Tybee. So let's go to Hobcam, and then I'm going to ask Phoebe and Nadia to say a little bit about Tybee.
It's Fiha.
So what are we looking at here?
Okay,
Phoebe?
so we're about to remove the, sorry, I keep wanting to say it in Arabic, the aubergine from the hob.
Yep.
Where are you going to peel it? Can you peel it here?
Here.
Yeah?
Sufan.
Come on, Mum, I get with it. Mum's saying it's too hot to peel, but I think that's rubbish. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, if you can see me, I'm just going to put everything, the ingredients for the kofta into the food processor.
And can you talk us through those as you put them in, please?
Yes. Okay, I've just put in the tomato puree and all the herbs. All the spices, rather. So it's turmeric, mixed spice, paprika, I think that's it actually. Oh yeah, and now I'm putting in all the fresh stuff. So that's fresh coriander, a handful of fresh parsley, and a handful of fresh mint. Okay, everything's going in. Okay, I don't know if you can see, my mum's also starting to...
Phoebe, can I interrupt you for 1 second? We've had a number of people asking, how do you do it on an electric hob? Can you just quickly give them instructions on that?
Yes, okay, so you can do two things. So the first thing you can do is you can put it on a cast iron griddle pan, or a cast iron, any kind of cast iron implement. So it can be a frying pan or whatever. And that will give you a good smokiness to it. Make sure that the hob is turned on really, really high. And the second thing you can do is, if you don't have a cast iron griddle or a cast iron frying pan, just put it in a normal frying pan and put a lid on it. Okay, so that will give you some of the smokiness. Okay, don't put any oil on. You want to char it. You don't want to moisten it with olive oil. You don't want to cook the skin. You want to break the skin off. So yeah, keep it dry. So a normal frying pan with a lid, and it doesn't matter if the lid's too small for the frying pan. It's better if it is. Let the lid get hot and press against the top side of the aubergine. That's the if you don't have a gas hob, that's the best way to do it.
And so Phoebe, thank you for that. Can you just talk to me about what you put in the mixer there? So you put onions, chicken, coriander.
Yeah. So I've put my spices, my tomato puree. I've put my mint, my coriander, and my parsley. I've put a whole tomato, a whole onion, and my chicken breasts. My butcher cubed them for me. If you've got a whole chicken breast, do whatever your food processor allows. Maybe you want to just use some scissors to chunk it up first. Okay. So I don't know if our producer wants to mute me while I do this, and you can tell one of your riveting stories, Chris. But I'm...
Of course. Yep. So as I said earlier, those of you who are vegetarians, and I like to think of us as being the sort of sanctified people in our midst, there really is no need to be at all nervous. So we often get people who take lots of groups of Palestine saying, what will I eat? I'm vegetarian, or I have problems with gluten. It really is a fantastic diet for vegetarians. And what's being cooked tonight, there's possibility variations on it. Just to give you a little feel for some things I've been busy cooking before I came out tonight, I'll just try to, this is some aubergines, which we roasted earlier. This is some cauliflower over here, which we picked up earlier on, some hummus, different bits and pieces. And it really is very, very simple. It's just about becoming confident with it and then giving it a go. This cauliflower here, let me just show you that one. It's actually taken from a Palestinian recipe, and it's using turmeric. So you're roasting it in there. They do it on a whole bed of crushed aubergines and other things. We just found we love to taste the cauliflower. So there's loads of ways you can just take bits and adapt them and cheat and find what works for you, which is one of the great joys of it. It's also really sociable cooking. I don't know about you, Sarah, my partner, and I we're not good in the kitchen together, by and large. But one of the nice things about this is you can just get on with your own things as well, and you're not got that constant struggle about who's cooking what at the hob, which is one of the other great things about Palestinian food. It's a real communal way of doing it. Phoebe, how are you doing over there with the food blender? Have you finished with it now?
Yes, I've finished using it, and I'm just going to show everyone the delicious color of the kofta. Mama? Okay, so this is that's the kofta now. That's the chicken mixture. So it's well, it's just absolutely delicious. I mean, it's fragrant. It's going to have a little bit of spice to it. We put a chili in there. I don't know if I said that. I mean, it's on the ingredients list, of course. But yeah, this is absolutely just going to be so delicious. It's going to put anything that you've had in a kind of local kebab shop into the well, I don't know. It just doesn't compare, really, does it?
And so, Phoebe, if you're doing this as a vegetarian, what would you put in instead?
Do you know what? If you were a vegetarian and you wanted a kind of equivalent little thing, you'd probably do.
I would start to fry.
Oh yeah. So Mum's now going to be at the hob frying some nuts, which we're eventually going to drizzle over the Labaneh. And yeah, I do like a vegetarian Cubba, which is basically it looks like a kind of kofta. It can be like a sausage shape, but it's made with tomatoes, potatoes, and bulgur wheat. Bulgur wheat is the kind of binding thing. Sorry, darling, can I have this? Yeah. So that's what I do with it. But to be honest, there's just so many. What you said is absolutely true. It's not a con at all. There are so many fabulous vegan and vegetarian recipes naturally in Palestinian cuisine that you could just do a million things. I mean, you could do matluba, you could do mujaddara, you could do different types of labnehs with different toppings. Yeah. So I'm just now, Chris, going to put a little bit of oil on my hands. I'm just going to start shaping my chicken.
And how many? So for those at home, how many? What do you call them? The individual ones? I'm going to say kofta. How many will you make from this thing, roughly speaking?
Well, I mean, do you know, it kind of varies by how generous I'm being or how lazy I'm being as well. But we tend to get about 12 out of this amount.
Yep.
Yeah.
And how many would that normally feed?
Well, it would feed my family and give us a little bit leftovers. There's 5 of us here, and all of us eat.
Make sure you're doing them nicely.
Yes, thank you, Mama.
Have you put the salt?
I don't know.
Have you put the salt?
I don't know if you can hear her, but Mum's asking if I've put the salt, and she's reminding me to do them nicely.
Good. No, I'm glad to hear that.
Yes.
I do encourage her to give you a hard time as much as possible. I'm enjoying that.
Yeah, you've probably been on the phone to her before this.
Yeah, I did. I gave her a little briefing. Yeah.
So this is actually a little tip of mine, Chris, and this is something, and I'm not just saying that as if I've made a mistake now, but I often get the koftas to where I'm comfortable with them, and I often then halve them. I often make them like, yeah, thank you, like that, a kind of big kofta. And then I tend to halve them. And I just find that so much easier. Otherwise, I feel like I'm standing over the tray for hours. And it's not hours, of course, but I just feel like it is. So for me, I get big juicy ones, get them on the plate, and then I tend to halve them. And I basically, that's how I tend to do my portions. I wouldn't weigh anything out for sure.
So going back, Phoebe, you go to Palestine quite often, don't you?
Yes, I do.
For work. And obviously your main work most recently has been with Seville Kairos as well. Do you want to say a little bit about Seville Kairos and about some of and particularly about the campaigns which we're both involved in, which is about divestment, particularly at this time?
Yeah, of course. So Seville Kairos is a UK-based organisation, and it's the sister organisation to 2 organisations in Palestine, Palestinian-led Christian peace movements, essentially. One is an ecumenical centre in Jerusalem, which is Seville, and the other one is Kairos, which is basically an organisation that sprung up after a document which was the Christian community coming together in Palestine to call for the international community and the international Christian community, maybe specifically, to take certain actions because they needed help. They needed our help. They needed the privilege that we have here, sat in the UK and all around the world, to help them with the issues of the occupation and the blockade, and just the insufferable economic conditions, the violence, all of that kind of thing. And so what we focus on doing here in the UK to support that effort is we focus on the BDS campaign. And we are specifically asking the churches in the UK to divest from the occupation. So we are asking the churches to put in an investment screen, to look at their pensions, to look at all the ways that they invest, and all the ways that they procure, essentially, and to make sure that they're not supporting any company that profits from the occupation. So it's not Israeli companies necessarily, it's all global companies who benefit financially from the occupation. And so that might be that they provide face recognition software, they might be providing the concrete for the occupation barrier, they might be providing the rail network that link up the big settlement blocks. Whatever company it is, those are the ones that we're asking the UK churches to divest from.
And so, talked about divestment. Obviously, BDS stands for Boycott, Divestment and Sanctions.
Yeah.
We at Amos Trust were very involved with Seville Kairos, and particularly the divestment campaign, because we believe it is something which churches can very easily do. With boycott, obviously, one of the key things about boycott is settlement goods, and is particularly food related as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, especially agriculture. So occupation agriculture in the Jordan Valley is particularly damaging, not just because of the vast amount of area that it occupies, but also because of the chronic way that it steals water from the Palestinians. It steals, I mean, essentially labor from the Palestinians, and it steals land from them. And then it competes with them in a local and global market for the similar type of products. So yeah, in terms of agriculture, it's really, really serious, because the Jordan Valley is the livelihood for so many Palestinians, and yet it's being really...
Phoebe, you've gone silent on us. We can't hear you at all, I'm afraid. So let me carry on while you get yourself sorted out there. So basically, as Phoebe was saying, the Jordan Valley is on the West Bank, so it's part of Palestinian territories, but the majority of it's been taken over by Israeli farms, the whole of the valley there, using water from the Jordan. The Jordan River now is very, very low because it's heavily used for agriculture inside Jordan and also by settlements on the West Bank. The combination of that means that the flow into the Dead Sea now is virtually dried up. The Dead Sea levels are plummeting down. If you go to the Dead Sea ever, you'll see all these tourist things which are about sort of 10, 15 feet above the sea level now, because the water's evaporated. And there's major concerns about it as being an ecological disaster. And it's not just because of issues about use, it also reflects climate change, obviously, but it's a real concern to everybody there. It's one of the great wonders of the world. And they're really concerned it becomes too salty as the level drops and drops and drops. The Jordan Valley is also central to the issues about annexation. So Phoebe, I don't know if you've seen the message. It seems your microphone may have switched itself off. So see if you can flip it on again while we're working on this one at the moment. So if you can see, apparently it's turned itself off, so we can't hear you still. So see if it's turned itself off, apparently. Yep. So as Phoebe mimes that, in fact, we could have a whole cooking show of Phoebe miming these things. Let me say a little bit about the situation we've got at the moment. Okay, so Phoebe, are you back now? Can you say something to us? No, you're muted now, is that right? Yeah, it seems to say you've been muted now. So
Hello?
hello, you're back. Excellent.
Oh, no, I can't hear them. I need help. Sorry, do you mind just helping?
Okay. So you can't hear us at all now? No, you've gone off again.
Hello? They still can't hear me.
Okay, try again now, Phoebe. While we're getting that sorted out, so you'll have seen lots of headlines about annexation recently, and you'll have seen the moves by the Netanyahu government as part of the sharing agreement was to say that they'll annex up to a third of the West Bank. The West Bank is the Palestinian territories. This is also part of Donald Trump's peace plan, his unilateral peace plan, which he worked with Israelis on, which the Palestinians refused to engage with because they saw it as being nothing more than ultimately allowed.
Battery fully charged, okay.
And so what's happened is the annexation has been announced as being part of the new government's policies, and they threatened to start the annexation process from the 1st of July. That's become delayed, but the key thing is it's an ongoing process. Phoebe, are you back?
Yeah, yep. I think I'm back. Am I back?
You're back. We can hear you.
Okay, sorry. Keep talking about annexation. Yes, I can hear you now. Okay. I'm so sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
No problem at all. So with annexation, up to a third of the West Bank has been declared that it will be annexed. Now, the annexation process has been delayed, but the thing with annexation is it's really important to recognize it's been going on for years. And it's part of a process, and this is a tipping point within this. This is the reason why so many Jewish groups have spoken out against it, and Jewish individuals, both inside Israel and also here, because what it would represent is a long-term situation where a large number of people on the West Bank would have different status from anybody else. They would have a separate status within Israel, and that's why people are referring it to as apartheid. That there would be, within Israel, there'd be these people with two separate status. Now, some people would say that's what happens with Jerusalem already, but actually Jerusalem citizens have a different status, so there is apartheid now. However, that's a very difficult thing to really argue in some ways. But what the Israelis themselves are saying, lots of the advocates are saying, this will lead to a permanent apartheid situation. And obviously, that's fundamentally wrong, let alone taking land which is not theirs to take. So that's why there's so much outcry about it. And you'll see many people who would not traditionally speak out about it, speaking out against annexation because of the long-term implications in that respect, but also because it stops any possibility of a two-state solution from occurring. And so much of the last 30 years, all the international backgrounds, all of the movements have been about a two-state solution, a Palestinian state, an Israeli state. And what they're saying now is this makes that impossible. Many people on the ground would say it was already impossible because of settlement blocks and because of so much of the land on the West Bank being, in effect, taken over by Israel. But what this means is that would absolutely be the case. And it would also threaten the very nature of what the future state of Israel is about. So there's lots of stuff in the press about this, which you'll hear about. We very strongly believe we must try to stop annexation. Our government has spoken out against it. The European ministers have said they will, a number of them said they'll take sanctions and they'll take action. We are saying words are not enough. It is the time for action. It's the time for governments to look at taking sanctions if Israel moves ahead with this. It's us saying to faith communities and a whole variety of groups, it's the time to take action. You can't just condemn this. You can't just say words. You have to take action. So for us, that's saying, and I know this is Seville Kairos and a whole network of us saying this means that actually what we need to do is divest. It's the time to do this. It's the time for our church to divest from these companies and our pension funds. So that's why we're so strongly pushing this at the moment, because of issues about sanctions. I'm going to come back to a bit of cooking, then we'll finish off a little bit more about that. Phoebe, what's been going on while you've been away?
Yes, but before I say anything about the cooking, can I just talk a little bit about the annexation? Not too much, because you've covered it so fundamentally there. But I think as Palestinians, what is so terrifying about the annexation is that we have been saying that this is coming for years. We know how and why Israel is putting facts on the ground. We know why that block of settlements in East Jerusalem edging into the West Bank. We know why they're there. We know that it is a de facto annexation where they're trying to, when eventually things get divided up, or maybe now if they never do, that they will keep that land. And the Israeli policy has significantly, for a long time, been maximum land, minimum Arabs on it. Yes, this is how they're cleansing the areas. And now it's actually happening, and it's terrifying. We've been talking about a de facto annexation in our sector for such a long time, Chris. And yet now that it's happening, it's a little bit scary. It's a little bit, it's just a little bit the kind of thing that makes you cry in the evenings. And what I really think is quite good, but also quite not so good, is the fact that we have seen the European diplomatic engine start working on this. And I just don't understand why it's taken this for anyone to say anything. Well, publicly. I mean, we don't know what happens behind closed doors, of course. But for me, the annexation thing is scary because we've been saying it. We don't really know how lives will change on the ground if it goes ahead. I think the most difficult change will be that it'll be a legal change. It'll be a change to the premise. It'll be a change to how things are classified, so that when things get divided up, or if they never do, that land will forever have a different legal status. And it might just always be off the table when it comes to negotiating. And I think that's what's so worrying for us Palestinians. Okay, just really quickly, what's been happening. So my mum's fried the onions off. She's done, sorry, not the onions. I don't know what I'm talking about. The nuts. So we've got 2 trays of beautifully fried nuts. I'll bring them over here.
What nuts for those again, Phoebe?
This is almonds, and this is going to go on the Labaneh.
Now, in Palestine, yeah, so you actually didn't eat them all when they're green this time. You kind of actually let them ripen properly.
You don't like bitter things, do you? Yeah, no. We raw, kind of unripe almonds, I suppose. And these are the pine nuts. Okay. Almonds almost got wiped out in Palestine a little while ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, due to a very terrible pest that no one knew how to get rid of. They're now back. They're booming. People are planting almond trees again. Al-Fahm is a very good local almond plant, and that's very low rain requirement. So people in California who grow loads of almonds, they're looking at the Palestinian native variety. So we put them on everything. So we fry them and scatter them on absolutely everything. So they're going to go onto our Labaneh. I've also, so you saw my mum peeling the aubergine earlier on. I've put it in a mini chopper, small blender type thing.
Is this the one that went in the oven, or is this a different one?
No, this is the one that went onto the hob and burnt.
Okay, that one. So yeah, one with it. Yep.
Yep, and that my mum peeled it, and I've put it with some tahini and about 2 tablespoons of water, and I've whizzed it up into a very, very beautiful, very fine sauce. So we're going to put this sauce on the plate that we're going to put the custard onto.
Just recap the instructions for that. So scooped out all the inside of this beautifully burnt aubergine, then added tahini to it, salt,
2 tablespoons of
tahini. Yep. Any oil in there? No oil.
No oil. No, don't put any oil in. Just water, tahini, and these are the vegetables that have come out of the oven.
Brilliant.
So we'll start getting going on assembling everything now, I think.
Before we do that, I'm aware the custard's being cooked at the moment. How long do you cook them for so you don't get food poisoning, etc., and all those top tips?
Okay, so what we do is we cook them for probably about maybe 10 to 15 minutes. And can you see how beautiful they are here? Beautiful. Well, those ones have just gone in, but here, these ones are nice and golden.
Which ones are you talking about? The ones on the hob there? Yep.
The ones here in the pan.
Yep.
And what we then do, the reason we put them on that pan is we'll just put them in the oven for 10 minutes.
Yep.
But we just want to color them really and give them some nice flavor. Also with chicken, with the amount of vegetables that we put in them, they can sometimes be a little bit wet. So they hold together a lot better in the frying process.
Phoebe, I've got no idea how you cook chicken because I haven't cooked it since I was about 14. How long do you fry them for, do you say?
About 10 minutes, about 10 to 15 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, at a fairly low heat or?
No, kind of a medium to high heat. You want the kind of oil to be happily bubbling. Yeah.
Okay, because I'm always terrified of just cooking. That if I do cook chicken, it'll be raw and I'll poison
Yes, people are
everybody.
so afraid of chicken. I honestly don't know why. It's really, really strange to me. But no, it's really easy. You're not going to hurt anyone. And if you're putting them in the oven afterwards, you're absolutely fine. Yeah.
So back to annexation very quickly. Can we have this slide up? We're doing a thing. So in 2017, we walked from London to Jerusalem to apologise for the Balfour Declaration. The Balfour Declaration was written in 2017. It's when the British government said it looked in favour at the formation of a homeland for the Jewish people in the land of Palestine. Provided nothing happened to the indigenous rights of the people there. Obviously, that wasn't the case. And so in 2017, if we go back to the map, if that's okay, we walked this route here. You can see on this map here from London to Istanbul. We couldn't carry on going across to Syria, obviously, and you still can't. And then we went to Jordan, came over the Allenby Bridge into Jerusalem. And we did this to apologise to the Balfour Declaration for 100 years of oppression of Palestinians because of it, and the UK's role in it. And also to say when the government here was celebrating it, to apologise and to stand in solidarity. It's a walk of solidarity and a witness to that. So now, because of the annexation, we're just walking again. And if we can have that other picture back up of that one. So we're just walking again. And what we're encouraging people is to do the whole route. So 3,000 miles to walk with us as an act of solidarity with Palestinians, to say stop the annexation, to say stop the annexation, and also to raise funds for our ongoing campaigning work in Palestine. So we've got loads of people signed up. Visit our website if you'd like to know more. It's a really simple thing to do, walking where you are. You don't have to go off anywhere, anything like that. Doing distances where you are. I've committed to walk the distance which we walked across Albania, and I'll be drinking Albanian beer, and I'll be finding various other things from Albania to cook. You don't have to do that. You can do any distance you want. If you don't want to walk, you can just donate. You can do it as a fundraiser, you can donate and walk, or you can just donate. And we've got a team of young volunteers who are going to do the walking for us. They've already got 1,000 miles to walk, so we really want to get them doing more and more miles. So please get involved in Just Walk Again. And then we're going to start telling Palestinians more about it, and you'll see more stories from people who are involved in Just Walking Again. A really simple action to say stop the annexation. There's also actions you can see on our website about that. There's similarly on Seville Kairos and lots of other sites saying these are actions you can take and how you can write to MPs and other groups about the issues raised. Thank you. That's enough about that part of it. Phoebe, where are we in the cooking? What are you making? What are you doing now?
Okay, so I'm just getting the bits together for the Shatta sauce. It's really simple. It all just goes into one of these tiny little kind of like food herb chopper things. So I've put in 1 chili. You can use 2 if you like things really spicy. We don't really have a palate for spice in my house.
The red chili, wasn't it?
So it's 1, so it's 1 kind of like big red chili. So it's 1 chili, 2 tomatoes.
And do you peel the tomatoes or anything like that at all? You don't bother with that nonsense, do you?
No, not in this, no. It's you who doesn't core your tomatoes, Chris Rose. I remember last year I was mortified when I asked you to make me that salad. Anyway, so a bunch of garlic. I think I said 2. I'm putting a few more in because my ones were little. And then I'm just putting in my sugar and salt, a teaspoon of salt and a tablespoon of sugar. And that's all just going to get whisked together now, really nice and simply.
So a tablespoon of salt and a teaspoon of sugar. Yeah, it's worth getting that around the right way.
Okay, sorry, can you come and plug the phone into here?
Okay.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
So are we going over to Hobcam, or is Hobcam lost at this moment in time?
Hobcam's momentarily lost.
Okay.
But it's coming back.
Okay, that's fine. Everyone's still. As we're busy blending stuff, it'll be brought over in a few seconds. One of the things which we do is we take lots of different groups over to Palestine, and one of our most popular trips is Taste of Palestine. So we go over and basically we travel through Palestine. We take groups over there to find out about the issues, so that when they come back, people will speak about the issues, they'll be educated, and they'll be able to tell other people about it. It's not just holidays, it's far more than that. But it's an incredible time. You meet incredible people, and we do walking trips, cycling trips, we do running trips, we do sedate trips, and we do Taste of Palestine, which is just wonderful. You go along and you meet so many producers of different foods. You taste wonderful food. You meet people in all sorts of small villages, which nobody goes to as well. And it is just a remarkable trip, which we couldn't recommend highly enough. Now, we got the hob cam back. What's going on the hob now then?
Yeah, so Mum's just finishing off the chicken koftas. You can see them all coming off there, looking delicious. What do you think of the size, Chris? Have I been uniform enough for you?
No, those look very good. I'm not sure if that. I mean, I think they would pass a professional bake-off. I don't know if you've been watching that professional bake-off program. The most scary thing in the world, kind of get everything as exactly neat. It's not. This stuff isn't the neatest food in the world, is it? It's not that precision stuff. It's food, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, do you know what? A lot of people say that Palestinian food isn't good looking, and actually, I just
it's beautiful,
disagree with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's family food. It's family food. You can't just have a few little things on a plate. You got to, build your mountain of food and get everyone around the table and ask them to join you.
Yeah. And to be honest, Ottolenghi is Palestinian food, lots of it, and it is fairly good looking. So I think they can have.
Yes, I mean, obviously, if you go to Ottolenghi, that stuff will look and taste absolutely delicious.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can make it beautiful. I suppose more traditionally, it's not. Right, the moment everyone's been waiting for, everyone's going to get down their Labaneh. You ready?
Here we go.
Right. So everyone who's hung up their yogurt this morning.
So you had a bowl underneath it, is that right?
Yes. So empty out the bowl.
Can you show? Oh, how much stuff was in the bowl?
Oh, well, I've been emptying out the bowl all day actually.
Okay.
But this bowl would have been more than full.
More than full.
Yes, I originally had a much bigger bowl underneath it.
And how much is a kilogram was it of fresh yogurt?
I've put 2 kilos in.
Okay, so double the amount. And is that Greek yogurt or just normal yogurt, or what's the yogurt?
So I use normal natural yogurt.
Okay, yep.
But some people prefer Greek yogurt. The traditional Palestinian flavor is natural yogurt. Sorry, I'm just putting the timer on I've just put the koftas in for 11 minutes. Okay, so yeah, it's kind of got a bit of a tang to it.
So you fried the koftas, now they've gone in the oven, have they?
Yes. So that pan that my mum had, they've all gone into the oven.
So that's to finish off the cooking. Because as you got to remember, as a vegetarian, I have no understanding of how you cook chicken and stuff like that.
That just finishes it off. So they were a relatively biggish size. On the barbecue, they'd probably take about 15 to 20 minutes in total. We often make them and put them on the barbecue. Right, so if people haven't made Labaneh before, they're probably opening up their muslin and they're a bit mortified. So this is what it looks like. Super, super delicious. So there's no delicate way for doing this. I mean, you said the food was ugly, and maybe you're right at this moment.
I don't think I quite said that, but yeah.
I'm going to dunk it out. So there's now my Labaneh on the plate. Right. Just move that out of the way.
Yeah, quite said ugly. I'll go. I think it's great looking, but I think
I know what you mean. Yeah. It's family cooking. I need a bigger spoon than that. Right. So now's the good time. It looks good, doesn't it, Mama? Yes. I don't know if you can hear my mum. She thinks it looks very good. So seal of approval there. Right. No, we're going to put all of it. My mum just wondered whether we were going to save some for breakfast tomorrow or if we were going to put it all on. And I said we're putting it all on.
So tell us about the texture of that. What's it kind of like, the texture? Because it's a bit hard to see from on the screen. Is it kind of like a cream cheese type texture?
Yeah, looser than a cream cheese. So, softer than a cream, somewhere between a cream cheese and a yogurt, I suppose, like a thick, creamy Greek yogurt. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so we're just going to put a few grooves in that because you want the oil and all the delicious bits and pieces to settle in it, okay? So now, our tray of aubergines, now we're just assembling. So this is the fun bit. So this is what my plate looks like. I don't know how well you can see that.
Excellent.
So that's my plate of Labaneh. And now I'll just use my hands, Mama. And now I'm just going to put the aubergines around. And I'm going to scatter in some of the cauliflower. Cauliflower is my favorite thing. So when Mama makes this and she deep fries a cauliflower, she actually puts a kitchen towel over it so I can't find it. because I will just pick at it. It's so good.
Yep.
Okay, and then just my kusa, my courgettes. They can just nestle in anywhere you find space for them.
And normal, and the kind of bigger courgettes are fine as well, aren't they?
Oh yes, yeah, they're absolutely fine. We just we're stuffing courgettes tomorrow, so we had about 3 kilos of these, so we decided to use them. We wouldn't fit anything else in our fridge yesterday evening. Okay, so just make it look a bit hectic. Someone contacted me yesterday to say that they were cooking it tonight, but they wanted to serve it tomorrow. I said that was fine. The one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to assemble it tonight, so keep your Labaneh separate. Don't put your vegetables on your Labaneh just yet.
So Labaneh will stay for sort of 24 hours, something like that. Will it keep for, or longer?
Yeah,
or?
I mean it'll keep in a sealed container for several days. If you preserve your Labaneh in Labaneh balls, or you just cover it in olive oil, it'll stay in there for months.
Okay.
So
what are you putting here now?
Sorry?
And
what am I doing? Yes,
yep.
So these are pomegranate seeds.
Okay.
And now we're going to scatter on the nuts. Okay, so I'm scattering over the pine nuts first. And now I'm going to scatter over the almonds, beautifully toasted by Mama. Mama, these are perfect, thank you. Okay. So, and Zaytoun also sells almonds, actually. People just think about them for olive oil, but they sell almonds also.
Yep, and they do great ones. Is it caramelized ones, which are just ridiculous?
Yes, with the burnt sugar on them. They're so good.
Yeah, those are just ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay, so this is now our Labaneh dish. Does that look good?
Yep, that's wonderful. Yeah.
Okay, and I mean, if you were a vegetarian and you were having a special meal, or if you had a vegetarian over, instead of just kind of soggy veg on the side, I think that will really, really impress everybody coming to supper. Okay, so that's done. So now we're kind of getting there really with finishing everything. We've got our Salata Arabia, which is absolutely delicious. We've got our loaded Labaneh, as you can see, loaded to the brim. The more veggies, the better. And then we've got our Shatta Sauce. This is where you're going to get your heat. We put 1 chili in. It is quite spicy, but it's not too spicy. Christopher, do you mind putting things on the table for me? Right, so now we've got one more dish to put together. And I don't know how many people cook their own pita bread. I shared a recipe yesterday, and I think, Amos, you shared one today. I recommend serving this with warm bread. It's really, really good. Oh, hang on. Can I have the Labaneh back? Sorry, you know what you saw me cooking, chopping up before at the beginning? This is the most crucial bit, honestly. After the aubergines and the actual Labaneh, this mixture of of garlic, parsley, and walnuts is the most critical thing. Okay. So, right, so I'm just going to show it to you again. It's got nice green bits to go with the pink and black bits. And of course, obviously, I don't know how I forgot about this. We've got our olive oil. So we're going to drizzle our Palestinian olive oil all over this. Okay. Right. Oh, I can see the wine coming out for our supper, so that's good. Right, so now we're going to put the kofta together. Right, so let's see. I've probably gone and misplaced my sauce. Here it is. So I call this a serving or a dipping sauce. We're going to put it all along the bottom here. Is that okay, Mama?
Yes, yeah. It's very nice. Can I have that again?
Learning. Mum often says to me, you're doing that differently. Which is code. I'm not sure what it's code for, but it's definitely code. Right. This is quite a rich sauce. It's really delicious. You don't need too much of it. I only ever do 1 aubergine. I mean, if you have it and you fall in love with it, do more. But I just like a little bit. I like when you pick up your kofta, you just get a little bit of sauce that's left underneath it. It's really, really good. Okay. So now we're basically there. I'm just going to get the kofta out of the oven. Okay, these smell so good. I don't know if people are cooking along at home and if they can corroborate. There's something about this much herbs in everything. It honestly just smells divine. Right. So, yeah, sure. Okay. So let's have a look at this. Right. So I've got my plate here. I've put my my sauce on the bottom, and all I'm going to do now is put my nice hot koftas. Can you see how green they are? I mean, these should actually be called green kofta. It's just so, so delicious. Do you not eat fish anymore either, Chris? I know you used to eat fish.
I
I
eat
made
fish
that sea
sometimes.
bass for you once.
Yeah, I eat little bits of fish here and there. I try not to, though. My daughter's a vegan, and so basically most of the stuff which will be vegan, I will eat some fish, but not very much of it, to be honest. And so, yeah.
Okay. So these ones can go into a packed lunch for tomorrow.
Awesome.
So normally my husband will take the leftovers. And so this is our finished
Fantastic.
dish. So what I'll do now, if we've got the time, I'd love to, where's all the food? Okay, Christopher, can you do a walk around with the laptop? Just so that people can see the food. And I'll just talk through it as we go. Okay, so, right, that's our table for this evening. So we've got, right, so we've got our kofta balls on our dipping sauce of aubergines. We've got our loaded Labaneh. Try to get on top of that one, Christopher. That one's really delicious looking. Okay. And then we've got our Salata Arabia here. Then we've got our spicy shatta sauce, really, because it's not a normal shatta. And then we've got our bread that we'll pop into the oven for about a minute before we eat.
Fantastic. I've got my whole food here as well. So I've got a load of vegetarians, basically most of the same thing here, which we're about to eat as well. Before you go, just to say a couple of things before we say all our thank yous. Next week, so Amos has been doing a whole series of things around the annexation. Next week, we've got Garth here in concert, which is 7 o'clock here. The following week, we got Justin reliving his Just Walk to Jerusalem play with Akram Masood helping out. Then I think it's going to be the 11th of August. We've got a special version of Mark Thomas doing Extreme Rambling as well live. So a whole variety of different evening activities. All the details are on the website, so please look there for further things. This is being recorded as well, so you can see it on YouTube if there's any bits you've missed. The recipe is on our website as well. Phoebe, there's loads of wonderful recipes on your blog as well, aren't there?
Yes, so many good recipes. Some of them traditional, hasn't been touched in 50, 60 years, just as my tita made them. Some we've jazzed up a little bit to make them suit our family. Please visit the blog. We've recently actually teamed up with Bethlehem Fair Trade Artisans. So you can also buy beautiful olive wood things for your house from our website. These aprons you can also get from our website. My mum's got one that says, I pomegranate Palestine. And I've got one that says I hut Zata. We have a few other designs, but yeah, if you fancy, just everything's on there. So please do keep in touch with us.
And what's the blog called again?
The Olive Tree Kitchen.
The Olive Tree Kitchen, and it is a lovely place. I go there often and find recipes, just simple things to cook along with, which is great. It's a lovely thing. There's wonderful stories. There's a great story about Nadia in Tybee many years ago. And the thing with annexation is it's so many of those rural areas and villages which are under threat. It's a Palestinian land, often in communities which many people have visited, whether it's Al-Walid, Tybee, the Tent of Nations, all these places which are under huge threat from annexation. It's places which, and it's the land around them, the livelihoods, but places which for us, we see the effect being lived out all the time. And that's why it's really important to speak out about it now. Phoebe and Nadia, any final words from both of you? A huge thank you. It looks wonderful.
It's okay. Do you have any final words to say before we say goodbye to everybody?
ايش نسوي مسمار.
Do you want to say anything to the people who have tuned in before we say goodbye?
اوكي
بدك تحكي إشي?
يعني نحكي شيء.
Just to say goodbye?
باي باي.
Okay.
Okay.
No,
so
we're fine. Just thank you so much for everyone who tuned in. I really hope that you guys enjoy the food. Just to echo what Chris said about annexation, it's an absolutely real threat. It's threatening so many people in the West Bank, in East Jerusalem. It's even going to change the status of Palestinians already in Israel. It's a really big deal. Try to read about it. If you see any actions that come up, please do lend your name to those actions. But all we can say is thank you so much for tuning in, and goodbye.
goodbye. Thank you so much as well. It's been a wonderful.
Thank you, Chris.
wonderful
Yeah,
review.
thanks to
I'm
Greenbelt.
very looking to eating and drinking now myself. So thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
باي.
Bye-bye.
لا لا شكرا.